Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Let's Talk. Today's focus is going to be on all things technology to include business modernization and other changes and enhancements we can expect in the 24-25 school year and beyond. And joining me today is no other than our Chief Technology Officer, Kevin Sherrill. So Kevin, thank you so much for joining today.
Well, thank you, and appreciate you having me on the show today.
Thank you. I know that when we recently were speaking and catching up on all things, changes coming, that I thought this would be a great opportunity to do an episode of Let's Talk so that our teachers, our other employees, our district leaders, and our families understand what to expect. Our Board of Education, everyone can understand what is coming. Some of the changes are changes that we are initiating, others are changes coming from the state. But at the end of the day, there are changes coming, and I think this is going to be a great opportunity to get those all out there at one time. Great. So I'm going to ask you some questions.
Great.
And we're going to start with the Tyler conversion. So we've been hearing a lot in the last couple of years about business modernization and about converting to a new platform. So can you talk a little bit about why we are modernizing our systems for business?
Sure. This project is a long time coming. For all the districts in North Carolina have been using a system that's been hosted by North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, and we've been on the same system for literally decades. And so the time is right for us to move to a new modern web-based solution that will get us off the server client type environment that's just going to give our business processes in our finance department and our HR department just more productivity, some new enhancements, and just new efficiencies that we've needed for a very long time. So this is a very exciting. It's going to be a very labor-intensive project. We're 6 months into it as we speak, and so we're working hard to move us forward on this endeavor that we've needed for a very long time.
That's good. So it's gonna help us be more efficient, and it's a good thing. This conversion is a good thing, but I know it's going to be a ton of work. Can you talk about what that will look like to the end user? So what are the changes that different employee groups might expect to see as a result of this conversion?
Well, there's a couple phases. There's really two phases of the project. The software focuses on our financial systems and our HR management systems. So with regard to finance, it's going to touch every aspect of our financial business, from budgeting, purchasing, accounts receivable, accounts payable, payroll. All those systems that we are currently doing in the antiquated system that I mentioned are now going to be moved to a new modern system. So as you can imagine, that the folks that deal with that every day in our finance department are going to have a new way of doing business. So they'll be in a new platform every day with new efficiencies and new productivity tools that'll help to enhance their work each day. So that'll look very different from their daily work because they'll be using a new software system. From the end user standpoint, from our teachers and our other employees, there'll be a new self-service portal to where you log in and look at your pay stubs or change your benefits or your tax withholdings. There'll be a new interface for that for our employees. On the HR side, we'll have a new onboarding system that's built into the Tyler system that will allow just some more real-time tracking of job applications and the employee onboarding process. So that's just a couple of the changes that you'll see.
So it's really district-wide kind of, it is kind of a massive change. Like people will feel it, and so all employees will feel it in some way because we're going to have to be trained in how to log in and use a new tool.
That is correct. There's extensive training for the finance and HR employees that work in it every day, extensive training there, but all employees from really at the school level, you got your finance school managers and you've got your principals and APs that have a role in the systems as well. So every employee group will have some level of impact and also a level of training that we'll take them through as we move forward.
So it's going to, what would be a message that you would tell everyone as we go through this change process? Like, what do you want people to think about as we're going through this process?
I would say just be patient and also have an open mind that we're moving to a better system, a modern system. For example, the system we use now, if you've been around as long as I have been, it uses the function keys on your keyboard to do processes instead of using a mouse. So a huge leap in modernization as far as software goes. So I think it'll be actually very beneficial for our employees.
So the end result is going to be great, but it doesn't mean there are not going to be some kinks in the road as we move forward. I mean,
one of the challenges that we're experiencing is that we are using such older based software now, so the conversion of the data into the new system, we're making a very large leap.
Okay.
So that conversion process and converting the data and moving those processes to a new modern system will be very challenging, and we're digging into those each day as we work through the project.
Okay. And you may have already touched on this a little bit, but can you give specifics on the timeline? What's going to go live first? What's going to go live next?
Yeah, the timeline, so we're working on the two phases I mentioned, finance and HR. So our finance timeline is first, and we're working daily on that now with a go live expected in July of 2025. So basically a year from now. Now that seems like a long time, but it's not. There's a lot of stuff to uncover, and then each month we have milestones that we're meeting as we're working towards a go live. And as we get into next spring, we plan to have the system fully operational. So March, April, May, those months leading up to July, it'll be parallel systems running, a lot of end user training, practicing tasks in the new system as we prepare for go live in July. And very similar with HR, it's 6 months later after that for a January 26 go live for the HR modules, which will also include a new payroll system. So that there's a lot to do here and a lot of impact, but a lot of good challenging work ahead.
Well, and thank you. I know that you are kind of project, overseeing this project, project manager. This is a huge undertaking. I know you're working closely with our finance and our chief of HR, so Tommy Kranz and Chris Weichert, and you are working closely, but thank you for your leadership. And I know that this is going to take, the project management plan is going to be very specific, and I can't think of a better person to manage that.
Well, we're looking forward to it. It is a good partnership between technology, finance, and HR, so excited to get it done.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we are going to transition now because, it's not enough that we are going to be converting to a new business modernization system, but we are also going to be migrating to a new student system. So from PowerSchool to Infinite Campus. So I'm going to ask you the same thing. Why are we doing that migration to Infinite Campus from PowerSchool?
Well, the short answer on that is because the state is telling us to. So as you mentioned, yes, our Tyler finance and HR migration is a big, impactful project, also driven by the state with a timeline. But the student information system migration is also a state-driven system. For the past 10 years, we have been on a system called PowerSchool. And all of our teachers and our families know a lot about PowerSchool. We've been using it for 10 years. And again, that is a North Carolina DPI-driven hosted system. So for the last 2 years, they've been looking at new systems. They posted an RFP from the state level, and they've decided to move away from PowerSchool for the entire state. So there's a 2-year timeline with 2 phases, Wave 1 and Wave 2, for districts to convert from PowerSchool over to a new product called Infinite Campus. We elected to be in Phase 2. I purposely did that because I wanted to see how Phase 1 districts, and there's several around us with Davie and Rowan, some districts very close to us that are going through it now, so we're learning from what they're doing. So that is all things student information system, so all things grade book, attendance, our state reporting, all the things that PowerSchool is doing for us today. We will now be on a new system called Infinite Campus, and we're starting that work this fall. We're with a go live of July 1 going into the 25 school year, 25-26 school year. So excited about that. We've got a project team that will be assigned to us from DPI to help us with that. Lots of training to do, obviously, with our data managers. Our schools will be our pivotal point at the school level to get them up to speed on a new system. And then our teachers will have a new grade book to utilize, and of course taking attendance every day. And then our PowerSchool, our Student Information Systems office with Kelly Moore leading that with all her team will be very pivotal in all the training that we'll take all of our employees through to get on this new system by really a year.
Yes, a year.
Not
so
this
not
coming
this fall,
school year, but the next school year.
The next school year.
We'll be live on Infinite Campus, yes.
All right, so that is a lot. That's another big change in impacting even beyond employees, but impacting families.
It will impact our families, yes, because there'll be a new student portal to log into the parent portal will be new and different. So all of our parents will have a new way of logging on and looking at student grades and attendance. Are you hearing
good things, like from your counterparts in other districts, are you hearing good things about the functionality of Infinite Campus?
We really are. We're hearing that it's much more user-friendly, and it's just a smoother user interface than PowerSchool. So we're excited that it's going to be once we get there, it's going to be a better fit for our district. So looking forward to that. But
lots of training next year. What is it? I know that you're creating training plans for those different groups of employees, because teachers are going to need it, and everybody, data managers, everyone's going to need that. What do you envision the training for parents and students to look like? Or is there going to be a video? Like, what are you thinking? Have you thought about that yet?
Well, luckily, our partners at Infinite Campus have got an entire training syllabus and course catalog. It's all video-based that we're going to be able to roll out a lot of our training virtually by just providing videos of how to do things in Infinite Campus for those groups, such as our families, our parents, our students, and also our teachers.
Okay.
So obviously, with over 4,000 teachers, we won't be able to do all that face-to-face, so being able to provide some things through either Teams videos online, virtual training, or through these videos that Infinite Campus is going to provide will give us the best way to get that information out there. So multiple varieties of training coming for that product.
Good. That's good. It sounds like, and this is also coming, you're going to create a project team, but you're kind of managing that, overseeing that project
absolutely.
as well.
We'll have a full-blown project plan for that kicks off in September.
Okay.
So we're looking at about an 8-month project plan to get that live by July 1.
Okay, so two big conversions, one going to Tyler for our business modernization, one going from Power School to Infinite Campus. Both will have a lot of impact on employees. Both are going to be great, great tools for us as we move forward. But the message is we need everyone to, we are going to be doing some parallel things, like we're running a system, but training on a new system so that we're ready for those go live dates. So it's going to be a lot. So we know that people will be patient as we roll this out. It's going to be a lot of training. But again, I think the long-term impact is going to be great. And so people, once you're in the systems, people will forget about the pain leading up to them. But once we're using the systems and things are better, I think that it'll be okay. Now we understand why we did that. But I think getting this word out now about what people can, what's coming is going to be really important. Didn't this year we already even start talking to data managers about the changes that are coming?
Yes, we've already been on some webinars. We've already starting to just break the ice on what the new system looks like. So I think with the timeline that we put in place, that we're going to have enough time to really dig in and do it efficiently and be proactive about the change. So
that's
looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be a big year. So yes, as you mentioned, two very impactful but very needed changes for our district that'll touch just about everybody.
That's great. And again, thank you for leading these changes. These were huge projects. I'm going to switch gears over then to some of the tools that have been purchased for using bond dollars. I know we're kind of at the end of the technology funds for the bond, and you've recently came to the board with 2 different purchases that are really going to benefit our school teams. They're going to benefit classroom teachers, and they're going to benefit the school in general with communication. And so these are the digital signage instruments that'll be in schools, and also then the what are they called?
Document cameras.
Document cameras. So can you talk about both of those tools and why we chose those tools why we chose those tools to actually fund with our final technology dollars?
Sure, I will. And as you mentioned, we've been working through an 8-year bond referendum that had a technology line item for classroom technology was the main purpose of that. But with those dollars, we've put in interactive whiteboards, which are Promethean panels in every classroom. We've put sound enhancement in every classroom for teachers can use a teacher mic and sound enhancement for audio in the classroom. We've touched all of our media centers with those bond dollars as well, with a furniture upgrade and a modernization of our media centers to make them more inviting spaces for learning. So those are just some of the things that we've done with the bond dollars for technology. But as we close that out, we also want to add, as you mentioned, some digital signage for each school to help with school communication, safety and security. So throughout all of our schools in the common areas, cafeterias, hallways, lobbies, we are adding 65-inch panels that are running an enterprise-level digital signage program that can push out content either in video or slideshow format about happenings around the school, or maybe district information, but just that constant contact with students as they're moving through the school to see what's happening in their school, but also at a district level. And then in a security, maybe in a crisis situation, we'll be able to utilize those panels to push out important information about an emergency event that may be happening in the area or at the school. So working through that is underway. We're installing those now. We're hoping to have those done by fall. So we're working through several panels at each school. We're doing a different number at each based on the size of school and the location that we put those. So working through that, we think that's going to be a great benefit and a long-term setup for our schools to have a strong communication platform. And what I like about it is that it's an enterprise level solution that we can push content from the district out to all panels at the same time. So
that's great.
That's good to have that integrated and standardization throughout our schools. And you mentioned document cameras. So yes, part of the classroom technology suite that we've always planned to add to the classroom technology package that we've done with the bond technology is our document cameras. So we're going to add a very low cost, things have come down on pricing, but we have a nice USB high definition document camera to all of our classrooms in K-5. So every classroom will have that as part of their solution. And we're doing a percentage in the middle and upper high school grades just because some of those content areas don't really utilize that technology as heavy as a K-5 classroom would. So we're going to have access for all of our teachers in the elementary level to have a document camera tied to their solution in their classroom that'll be displaying content on the interactive Promethean board that's in the room for manipulatives, modeling, demonstrations, those kinds of things. And then in our content areas where it makes sense in the 6 through 12 grades, they'll also have that same tool. So those are being purchased now. Hope to have them in here in the next month or so, and we'll start rolling them out as the new school year starts. Yep.
That is awesome. I've been here 4 years now and have been thoroughly impressed with the technology that I see in our classrooms. And I know that's been, it's thanks to the bond. I mean, our voters approved that bond. Thanks to our county commissioners for, putting a technology component in that. But thanks to you for doing an incredible job spending the dollars. And, I walk in classrooms all the time and see the Promethean boards being used.
Yes.
I mean, that is like a staple tool for teachers.
It's a focal point.
Yeah, it really is, and they use them, and they use them well. I see schedules up. I see so many things how they're using them, those tools, and so I'm excited about the digital signage because it draws your eye to that, and you can do so many messaging things. You can celebrate kids for accomplishments, celebrate teams for accomplishments.
Right.
You can do reminders, and kids are walking through those main areas, and they can see that it draws their attention.
It definitely helps promote the culture of the school and the climate, and it's just a really good add to the school environment, I think.
That's great. So the technology that our folks have at their fingertips, it's really important. It's an important instructional tool, important communication tools. And with that, I'm going to lead to a final topic for us to talk a little bit about today, and that is the use of Chromebooks, and not even the use of Chromebooks. We're going to start with kind of the life cycle.
Okay.
And in the last 2 years, or maybe even 3, you've created such an impressive life cycle to make sure that our students and our staff have the most updated technology. And so I want to talk, can you talk a little bit about the life cycle? I know we've made some changes because of funding and the aggressive transitioning of tools was not affordable. So I know you backtracked a little bit, and it's still going to be a cycle though where we keep working tools in the hands of our teachers and students.
Correct.
But I'm going to have you start by talking a little bit about that life cycle, and then we're going to end the segment with talking about really specifically the Chromebooks and that use in the classroom. Okay. So let's start with the life cycle to begin with.
Great. I like to call it our staff and student device life cycle. So both our employees plus our students, they need adequate hardware, Chromebooks for students, and Windows laptops for our staff members. And it's just, everything we do is basically on a computer. There's a lot, from the staff perspective of checking email, doing grades in PowerSchool, which will soon be Infinite Campus, and our learning management system with Canvas, all these digital tools that our teachers use, they need an adequate laptop that is also connected to the classroom technology in the classroom. So that's kind of a tool that helps them run the instruction in their classroom. So it's important to have strong devices for our staff. And with regard to the life cycle for the staff, our goal is, and it has been for the last several years, is to keep our staff in a 5-year life cycle laptop. Okay. So every 5 years we are refreshing that device. So we buy for all staff, not just teachers, but anybody that would need a laptop to do their job. So roughly 7,400 employees are in a laptop that we are refreshing on a 5-year schedule. Okay. So this next year is a refresh year. So we're looking to secure that funding and get things moving to get those devices in here and start in the fall. Throughout the first semester, really, it'll take a while to get those rolled out for all of our staff members, our teachers, and our teacher assistants, and you even. Yes. Will be getting a new laptop on a 5-year cycle.
Let me ask you real quick, for someone that, so like for my laptop, and if it seems to be working, what happens to the laptop over time? that really is kind of the motivator for us to really keep them going every 5 years.
Yeah, the biggest thing with mobile technology, and years ago we used to buy desktop computers, and that's just a stationary device, and we're just not doing that. They would last a little longer, but the biggest Achilles heel, I guess you would say, with mobile device is the battery life.
Got it.
So even though that technology has improved a lot, once you get into that 5-year span, the batteries are just degraded to where they just will not hold. And in the older days, with older laptops, that was a removable battery that you could plug a new one in.
Yes.
Now you can still replace batteries, but you've got to take the entire device apart, take the keyboard off, and it's embedded on the motherboard now. But just the battery life is a big issue, and the requirements of newer software. So as processor speeds increase every year and we stay in an older device, the demands of newer software will just not run.
Okay.
And software versions won't be, as far as operating systems, can't be loaded on the older hardware. So a 5-year life cycle is I think is pretty strong for a staff device on a Windows 11 platform that we're on now. But it's really about the hardware degrading over time and really around that battery and processor speed.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So tell me about the Chromebook.
So Chromebooks for students. So Chromebooks are our primary device for students. We do have some iPads in the lower grades that we use as well, but Chromebooks is our primary device for students. And on the life cycle side for that, we were coming out of the pandemic, we were 1-to-1 for all students on a take-home program with a 5-year life cycle of refreshing those devices. With some of the funding constraints that you mentioned, we have now stretched that to a 6-year for our elementary students and really a 7-year life cycle for our upper grades. So we've made a decision going into next school year to keep devices in the classroom for K-5. So our K-5 kids will have devices available to them at a 1-to-1 ratio in the classrooms, but not to take those home unless there's an instructional need for a student that needs to do that. They can obviously check one out from the media center and take it home.
Okay.
So that'll be on a new 6-year schedule from kindergarten through 5th grade. And then incoming 6th graders, which we are still continuing our take-home program from 6 through 12. So our incoming 6th graders will receive a new Chromebook, and they will be expected to keep that throughout their entire middle school and high school years with us. So that's about a 7-year life cycle for those devices. We think we can get longer life out of the Chromebooks because they are web-based machines. They don't have hard drives in them. There's less things that will fail. So they're basically an online learning tool for all things web-based software, which is the majority of what we do today are all web-based. So there's a lot of reasons we need that. Testing is one reason that that we definitely need devices for adequate testing for beginning of year, middle of year, and end of year tests. That's one reason, but also a lot of other instructional reasons that we use our devices for our kids. And so keeping this strong life cycle going to where we're replacing these on those schedules keeps us moving and keeps the hardware refreshed to where they can have the instructional tools they need, but also financially, it doesn't dig us in a hole that if we let it go for 10 years and then we have a larger expense to dig out of, which is where we were a few years ago in this district. So we've worked very hard to combat that.
Absolutely. And I know that when you think about most of the assessments now are on the laptop. I mean, on the laptop. So Chromebooks are
on a web
interface,
right?
So Chromebooks are necessary for that. I know that there's been a lot of conversation around, the whole goal of the 1-to-1 and why we think it's important for students to have access to that device. Can you talk a little bit about our original goals when we think about a 1-to-1 model?
Yeah, our original goals is to provide a tool for students to enhance instruction, to aid with research tools, aid with collaboration to where kids can work together on a project either through a shared document through Google or Office 365 or through a Zoom meeting or a Teams collaboration meeting. Using tools for that reason, content creation, whether it be a Word document, something simple as a Word document or even a complex multimedia video creation project that can be done on that device. For me, it's all about instruction, and those are some of the reasons why we feel like a device in a student's hand can aid that. And then, with the pandemic that came along, our goals kind of shifted a little bit. So we had to get students online during our closure months where we were doing remote learning. It was all about getting online to be in classrooms, so that the use of that device kind of kind of went away from the true reason for one-to-one, which is those instructional reasons I mentioned, to just access.
Right.
And that was very, very much needed. But I think going forward, we've got to get away from some of those bad habits that were created during the pandemic,
Yes.
that where we were just using it for remote learning,
Right.
and we were using it for just keyboard access into,
Right.
into drill and kill type programs, to get back to more of that collaborative research and just the accessibility of enhancing and learning with those devices is what we need to get back to.
So the device in class, and I'm with you 110%. I mean, our students have told us, you know, what the statement that'll stick with me forever is, it feels sometimes like we're still doing remote learning even though we're live in the classroom.
Remote classroom,
And like, that is not what we want in our classrooms. I know that there are teachers that they still put everything in Canvas, and so when you walk into classrooms, I see them direct kids right there into Canvas, and I'm trying to. We need to definitely make that shift, because, you know, the teacher, the technology device is not a replacement for a teacher, and so a tool is a resource, just like a book.
Correct.
And so you don't expect students to walk in class and say, okay, here's your assignment, go in your book and begin. There's got to be instruction, there's got to be interaction, there's got to be, when you think about quality lesson design, I think that's going to help us move away from put everything in Canvas and kids walk in and jump into Canvas. Like, that is not what we want. And so I think that this is going to be, these are the messages and things. I hope that when teachers watch this, if they watch this episode till the end, I hope they hear this, that is not what we want to see. Our kids need to be truly engaged in lessons. When you think about a great science lesson where they're doing something hands-on, they might use that tool for part of that. Like, go look up something in it, like it's a resource, but it is not a replacement tool. And I think,
Canvas, our learning management system gives structure. It gives structure to the lesson. It does not replace the teacher, and the device should just enhance the lesson plan. That if it's a strong quality lesson plan, excuse me, focusing on those deeper learning attributes that we want our kids to have, then that tool should enhance that by giving them the access they need to dovetail directly in with that instructional lesson.
That is perfect. And that is, there's going to be a lot more coming around that and around all of this as we move forward. Is there any final word you want to give to the viewers about technology in our school district, or any final words that you have?
There's always a lot going on. This next year is going to be a big year. So just hold on and bear with us, and just be patient. And we've got a lot of good things coming, and we're here to support everyone.
Thank you, Kevin. And so to everyone who viewed today, you are much more informed now about the conversions that are taking place and the migrations taking place, some tools that'll be in the hands of our teachers, and really our intent around one-to-one devices. And so much more to follow. Hope you enjoyed the segment today. And Kevin, thank you again for your leadership. You are, we are so blessed to have you in Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools leading this important work.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.